Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Indie Spotlight Network. I'm your host, Ron Cooper, and we're backstage in the green room once again. And I have got two fantastic guys here with me today, Mr. Eric Barstow and Mr. Scott Parker. Now, Eric is a filmmaker and Scott is an actor, so we're going to be able to get a chance to go from different angles on today's show. Eric, tell me about how you got started and what you're doing.
Well, I just recently, about a year and a half ago, graduated from Duke University's MFA program in Experimental and Documentary Arts.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I'm working full-time at Duke right now as a video director and producer for the Franklin Humanities Institute. So that keeps me busy as far as the different talks and interview pieces that we're putting together for the humanities, as far as editing, shooting, that sort of thing. And I also do freelance work as well, shooting, editing, promotional videos. But I have my roots in narrative film. So I went to St. Augustine's University, but then it was college, to get my bachelor's in film production. And that was a great experience because it was just very hands-on, very practical education to show, using the camera, editing with the nonlinear editing systems. So it was a really great education from 2009 up until now.
Oh, wow. What about you, Scott? How'd you get your start?
Well, first I'd like to say thank you to you, Ron, and to Indie Spotlight for having us here. This kind of thing is great, and we appreciate it. How did I get started? First thing I was involved in was Leatherheads with the George Clooney. I went for a sort of a little quick audition, just on a lark, thinking nothing would come of it, and I walked in the door and the guy says, "Commissioner." So I was hired as a featured extra. And we spent over 2 or 3 weeks on that shoot, and so I learned a lot. I got to know a lot of people. Found out years later a lot of people sort of got their start there, and I just know when they moved the cameras over to where we were, and George is down there cracking jokes and making us all be relaxed, I thought, there's something about this I like, so that's how I got started.
Now, I want to ask you, Eric, the projects that you're working on now, you say that your background is more of a narrative type thing. Mm-hmm. What are you trying to work on right now?
I want to use to sort of keep my hand in narrative filmmaking. One of the things that you had asked me earlier about how I got my start, years ago, I went to visit a friend of mine in New York, my friend Ray. And he took me to a film school in Midtown Manhattan, and I don't know what it was. It was something about, there's just something sort of like what you were talking about when you were on the set. There's just something about being in a production atmosphere that appealed to me. So that is one of my goals, to sort of continue my hand in narrative filmmaking. As far as documentary films, I just finished editing, and I'm also an associate producer for another feature-length documentary called Sitting at God's Table, which was directed by one of my former film professors over at St. Augustine's, Miss Ellen Shepard, and we're looking to get that into the film festival circuit, submitted to Full Frame. We'll see, where it goes and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. What about you, Scott? What have you got going on right now?
Well, we just finished 2 films, one with Michael Babbitt, Huckleberry, which was a really nice experience. Michael is a really unusual, creative director. He's a little different than a lot of, directors run the spectrum, but Michael was just a joy to work with, and I think it shows up in his work. I did another film. I've done films recently with Nick Dalmancy, Lou Lewis, And of course, I've got a big one where I'm the lead in a feature-length feature coming out probably in March that's called The Polar Bear Club. Okay. And we're all sort of looking forward to seeing that. That was shot in northern Minnesota in February. So,
But that was kind of cold then, huh?
it was. Standing on a lake, virtually naked. We had swim trunks on. I think that day it was probably 15 below. And it's different.
Kind of switching up a little bit, fellas. There's the creative side of what you do, but then there's also the business side of what you do. How do you handle that?
Well, that's important because, social media has made a lot of things very accessible to us. Distribution models have changed. One of the things that I aspire towards doing is, creating a short film, writing a feature-length script. A lot of people do is they'll form relationships with distribution companies prior to even shooting the first frame of their film, so that they know that they have a tried and true form of distribution, so that they know that they're going to get something back for their efforts. Mm-hmm. That's something that I would like to explore. One other film that I was able to work on that is running the festival circuit right now, and I think they're looking for distribution, is a film that focused on Haiti. And, I was there to shoot a lot of that, and, I'm wearing my Haiti pride right now. Yeah. So I'm always looking at how filmmakers are taking advantage of the digital platforms, whether it's directly through Netflix or other means, in order to get their work seen by as many eyeballs as possible. It's still tricky because even though we have a digital platform for distribution, a lot of people would say that democratizes the process. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there is still this sort of glass ceiling or this sort of echelon of distribution that seems inaccessible to a lot of independent filmmakers, and cracking that code or cracking through that is still a challenge, I think, for people. Oh,
that's good. What about you, Scott?
I never really expected to make any real money out of this. That may change someday, and that'd be great. But I guess I just focus on the work, Ron. Mm-hmm. Trying to do good work, always trying to learn something new. And that's one of the things that I really find most appealing about acting, is that it is extraordinarily challenging and rewarding. And even though obviously after 7 years in the business, I know a lot more than I did when I started, I also know I know nothing. And I always have, more to learn. If I can just interject, I was reading something the other day about Al Pacino was asked, why is Sir John Gielgud so good? Why is he such a wonderful actor and always has been? And of course, Pacino's known for little quick statements, and he says, he's free. And to me, that's the goal. That's the goal for all actors, and it's easier said than done, but it's to always be working toward being free.
And I believe you had a question you wanted to ask him.
Yeah, okay. You said the goal of the actor is to be free. What does that mean?
Most acting goals, most jobs you do in the world, if you try to do it harder, say you're sawing a board, if you saw it harder, you use more strength, you'll saw it faster. Acting is not that way. Oftentimes, you can't have a specific way of getting there. There are certain techniques. For example, listening. We always talk about listening, how important listening is. And everybody says, you should listen. You should actually hear what the other actor's saying. And everybody says, well, I'm listening. And then I saw some words that made sense to me from a fellow actor. He said, when she says something, take it in. And just those words, take it in, meant so much to me. Because if you take it in, and it only may be for a second, you also can have a thought about what she said. That's when you're listening. And it's things like that create, and I'm going to use my own language here, that create what I call fade. And that's where you're working, for example, you and I are working together, and I'm not delusional. I know that the camera's there, and I know the lights are there, and I know the boom's above my head, but they start to fade. And I've had them fade at 20%, Sometimes I've had them, fade at 80%. They never go away completely. Maybe for some actors they do. But if I'm actually talking to Ron and I'm actually listening to what he's saying, and I'm beginning to sort of lose track that we're in a studio, for lack of a better expression, I'm sort of free. I can always do better. I can always learn more. And maybe one day, I might approach 10% of what Sir John has achieved.
I was going to say that reminds me a lot of Uta Hagen's acting method. I remember studying her at St. Augustine's. That she was the people approach particularly with theater, sort of like having these preconceived sort of approaches to a circumstance instead of just allowing them to be honest. I guess in that moment.
You've hit it. The death of good acting is having a plan.
Yeah, right.
You go. The ideal state is to go on the set, and you know what your objective is, and of course you know the lines and you know the circumstances surrounding that. But the closer you can get to, I call it opening the door, because I was in a play that I always had to open the door and go through. And as close as you can get to it, I don't know what's going to happen. It's not a perfectly achievable goal, just like being free, but that's your goal is, I don't know what's going to happen. So that's what we all work for.
If I could just say that tying into that, that's what a lot of documentarians do as well. I mean, if you're sitting there with the person, you have to help that subject, fade, as it were, that yes, the camera's there and all that, and they don't have perhaps the exposure to that level of production to really be accustomed to it. But when we have a conversation, that what I say to them and when we get into the meat of it, that fade happens, that we're talking about what really we're here for, whatever that.
And they're just talking to you.
Right.
That's an excellent parallel.
Yeah.
Great stuff, guys.
Good news?
No.
Bacon? Check the want-ads?
Yeah. Nothing for an old man. Everything is computers, computers, computers. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned paper?
Don't be late today, Sam. I don't want you tearing around here for the rest of your life.
Very funny.
Good morning, on Draco Enterprises. This is Denise. May I help you? Monday at 10. That sounds great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm nervous. Does this ever get any easier?
You've got it easy. Believe me.
Mr. Grayson?
Sam Grayson.
Yes. Sir.
I gotta tell you, Sam, your resume here hasn't exactly blown me away. I mean, one job in the last 30 years is impressive, but that kind of limits you, don't you think?
No, sir, I don't.
Listen, I respect the elderly a lot, but from what I can see here, you don't have the experience required for this job. Can you even use a computer?
I could probably get the hang of it.
I'm sorry, Sam. Here, let me give you my card. Maybe something will open up in our custodial department. Tom's great with a mop, but he's no spring chicken. Okay? What are you doing? Crazy old man? Denise, get in here. Never mind.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grayson.
Hi, Sheila. One, please.
It's $9, Mr. Grayson. Prices just went up. Enjoy the show.
You know better than that. I'll see you next week.
Sam, how did it go? Sam.
Hi there. Enjoy the movie tonight. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the show. Thanks for being here tonight. Mr. Simmons, you're a little late for the 8:15.
Funny, Sam. You've always been very funny. That's what makes this so hard. I'm sorry, Sam. You've done a great job around here. You haven't been late in 30 years. The customers love you.
Why?
We're just trying to freshen things up around here. The kids these days, they're a different breed. You know, the movies ain't the same. It ain't no Bogey and Bacall no more. It's Dumb and Dumber.
Tickets are tickets.
I'm sorry. It's not my call.
I love you, Sam. I just want you to know that. And I don't care if you spend the rest of our lives tearing up everything we own. You're a wonderful husband. And I love you.
Tickets, please. Tickets. Ticket, miss?
I don't have a ticket.
I'm sorry. I can't let you in without a ticket.
It's all right, Sam. You go on. I'll catch the next show.
I can't do this without you. Please.
It's okay, Sam. I'll be there soon. Go on.
Enjoy the show, Sam. I hope it was worth the wait.
All right, well, once again, we've had another great show here, and we want you to go to IndieSpotlightNetwork.com, and you will find out more links to these gentlemen and to some of the great, wonderful things that they are doing. Once again, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.